If you want to figure out where a huge tech company is really planning to go, forget the fancy reports sometimes. You skip the analyst Q&A and you go right to the source, the CEO's opening remarks on the earnings call. And this quarter, Q3 2025, wow, there was a line that just jumped out. The goal is apparently to build personal superintelligence for everyone.
So our mission today is pretty straightforward. We're going to slice through the numbers, the usual corporate speak. We're doing a strict deep dive, focusing only on what the CEO laid out. How does a company this size, with billions of users, actually plan to pivot to this massive AI future? And what's the actual foundation they're betting the farm on?
It really is the key document, isn't it? You get this this immediate sense of a dual narrative. On one hand, you've got incredible current business strength, that's the fuel. But on the other, this huge, almost like generational investment focused completely on what's next. And the scale of the current business, that's the launch pad. He kicked things off just confirming 3.5 billion people use at least one of their apps every single day.
3.5 billion. I mean, that's almost half the planet using their stuff daily. That scale, it gives them just incredible leverage, right? Both in data and, well, cash.
Absolutely. And, they've got the recent wins to sort of justify the confidence. We heard Instagram, for instance, just blew past 3 billion monthly active users. That's a massive milestone. And Threads, the newer app, it's rocketing along past 150 million daily actives now. And he sounded pretty confident, saying it's on track to be the leader in its category. So that's the bedrock, the solid, profitable ground that lets them make this, frankly, incredible bet on the future.
Right. And that future, it seems totally centered on this phrase he used, the ambition to become the leading frontier AI lab. This isn't just like tweaking algorithms for better ads. We're talking about the holy grail, personal superintelligence for everyone. That still sounds like something out of a movie.
It is an audacious goal, no doubt. And right after stating it, he talked about the engine, Meta Superintelligence Labs, or MSL. He made a point of saying MSL already has the highest talent density in the industry, which is quite a claim. And what's really interesting, I think, for the wider tech world is the commitment, again, to advancing open source AI. The idea being, if they crack this, everyone benefits. It accelerates things globally.
Yeah, it fits their pattern, open sourcing big models. But I mean, building superintelligence, especially the kind of huge models needed for frontier AI, that takes just unbelievable compute power. Which brings us, I guess, to the real centerpiece of the whole strategy he laid out, the great compute bet. He talked about an aggressively front-load strategy, basically building out massive compute capacity now.
Yes. And this compute strategy, this is probably the single most critical strategic point for you to really grasp from this whole deep dive. The CEO was surprisingly open about the uncertainty, the timeline for superintelligence. Nobody really knows if it's a couple of years away or maybe 5-7 years, maybe even longer. So this huge spending on infrastructure, it's actually kind of a brilliant hedge against that very uncertainty.
Okay, a hedge. How does that work? Usually these massive infrastructure bets, they're tied to a specific outcome, right?
Well, they're preparing, as he put it, for the most optimistic cases. So let's say superintelligence arrives way sooner than expected, maybe in just 2 or 3 years. Boom. They are, in his words, ideally positioned for a generational paradigm shift. They'd capture that advantage immediately because the infrastructure is already there.
Got it. So they're ready to pounce if the AI breakthrough happens fast.
Yeah.
But what if it takes longer, say 7 years? What happens with all those billions sunk into hardware that's just sitting there?
That's the clever part of the hedge. He was really clear that excess compute power won't just sit idle. Not at all. The core business, think Facebook feeds, Instagram Reels, the ads engine apparently, it can profitably use way more compute than they currently give it. He actually said the core business is running in a, quote, compute-starved state right now. So if that AI timeline stretches out, they just pivot that massive compute capacity to accelerate the core business results. And he noted the upside there is extremely high. So the infrastructure becomes this dual-purpose thing. Either it powers the future or it makes the present even more profitable.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense now. The investment basically guarantees a return, either capturing the next big platform shift or dramatically boosting the current cash cow. So if that massive infrastructure investment is kind of the shield for the future, let's look at the sword, the AI gains happening like right now in the core business.
Yeah, and we're definitely seeing the immediate results. He talked about measurable impacts from improvements in their AI recommendation systems, better content, more relevant stuff. It translates directly into people spending more time. Facebook saw 5% more time spent in Q3. And Threads, which is still growing, saw an impressive 10% jump in time spent just in the quarter.
And video keeps being a huge driver,
Yeah.
which is critical because that's where so much ad money comes from.
Oh, absolutely. He called video a particular bright spot. Time spent watching video on Instagram is up over 30% just since last year. And Reels, I mean, the success there is pretty staggering. It's now running at an annual rate of over $50 billion. When you think back, Reels was seen as kind of a defensive move against competitors just a few short years ago, hitting a $50 billion run rate. That says a lot about how powerful AI-driven relevance has become.
You know, there was a bit of strategic thinking he shared that gives a peek into their longer-term view. He outlined this idea of 3 distinct eras of social media content.
Right. The first era, he said, that was all about content from your friends and family. Simple enough. Then came the second era, the addition of professional creators, influencers, that sort of thing. But he argues the next era, the third one that's coming, is where AI makes it way easier for everyone to create and remix stuff, adding this huge corpus of new content on top of everything else. And the AI systems, the recommendation engines, they have to manage all of that increasing complexity.
And that super sophisticated AI, it's also directly powering the money machine, right? The ads business seems to be doing incredibly well. And he credited AI ranking improvements.
Exactly. The key technical point he mentioned was about unifying different AI models, making them simpler, more general. Think of it like consolidating systems for better performance, better efficiency. And the bottom line, the hard financial number, is that the annual run rate flowing through their, quote, completely end-to-end AI-powered ad tools has now passed $60 billion. That number tells you everything. AI isn't some future project for them. It's driving the core profitability today.
And the ultimate goal, technically speaking, for the core platforms. This sounded really ambitious too, combining the 3 giant transformers into a single unified AI system.
Yeah, let's unpack that jargon a bit for you. These giant transformers, they're basically the huge, complex AI brains. The recommendation algorithms for the Facebook feed, the Instagram feed, and the ads system. Right now, they kind of operate separately. The big goal is to merge them into one super brain, one system managing literally trillions of recommendations every day, making sure everything is as efficient and relevant as possible across every single place you interact with their apps.
Okay, so moving away from the core platforms and the ad tech, let's talk about the new stuff, the direct consumer-facing AI products that are already getting out there.
Right.
The potential here seems huge.
It really is. He mentioned that over 1 billion monthly active users are already using Meta AI in some capacity. And the immediate opportunity, he said, becomes very large once they plug in a true frontier model, the most advanced AI they have, directly into those user experiences. This is where the work from MSL, that high-density talent lab, starts showing up directly in your hands.
And it's not just for consumers, right? This AI stuff is moving into the business side too.
Precisely. The scale he mentioned was nuts. Over 1 billion active chat threads between users and businesses every single day. So these business AIs they're building, they could let literally tens of millions of smaller businesses scale up customer support, handle sales, all at a really low cost. Imagine every small shop having like an automated support center.
We're also seeing totally new types of content emerge, powered by AI, not just better recommendations of old stuff. He mentioned something called Vibes.
Yeah, Vibes. Described as the next generation of our AI creation tools and content experiences. He noted it's showing good retention, growing fast week over week. It's kind of early validation for their idea that AI will unlock fundamentally new ways for people to create and share, shows that the creative AI stuff is moving out of the lab and into actual products people are using.
Okay, finally, let's touch on the hardware, the next computing platform, as he calls it. It feels like after years of trying, maybe they're finally getting some real traction with devices.
Yes, definitely seems that way. The 2025 line of AI glasses, the Ray-Ban Meta, the Oakley Meta Vanguards, he said they're selling well. And the success comes down to better battery, better camera, the built-in AI features, and maybe crucially, designs that people actually want to wear every day. Looks like those iteration cycles are finally paying off in market acceptance.
But the story that really hammered home the device momentum was about the high-end version, the new Meta Ray-Ban display glasses. The first ones with a proper high-res display and this Metaneural band thing.
Right, that one. The high-end model with all the advanced sensors that Metaneural band apparently sold out almost everywhere within 48 hours of launch. I mean, that kind of demand, forcing them to immediately scramble and invest more in manufacturing capacity. The CEO used that as clear proof that this next platform shift, driven by wearables and AI, is already happening, and they plan to be right at the front, leading it with tightly integrated AI hardware.
So wrapping this all up, what's the big picture takeaway for you listening? The CEO's final comments were, I'd say, probably the most optimistic we've heard in years.
He really did sum it up by saying the next few years are going to be the most exciting period in our history. And that confidence seems built on three legs. First, delivering strong results in the core business right now. Second, aggressively building out that AI talent density and the massive compute infrastructure needed for the future. And third, grabbing that early lead on the AI devices, the glasses and such, that they believe will define that next big computing platform.
So for you, the key piece of knowledge, the nugget to really hold on to from this deep dive, is that dual strategy we talked about, that big compute bet. They're not just, vaguely funding AI research. They're making this enormous, high-stakes gamble on compute capacity. But it's a gamble designed as a hedge. It covers them if superintelligence arrives quickly, but also guarantees that same massive investment accelerates their already hugely profitable core business if the AI timeline takes longer. It's infrastructure built to win in two different futures simultaneously.
Yeah, it really does set them apart, potentially, from others who might be taking more of a wait-and-see approach before committing that kind of capital up front.
Exactly. So here's a final thought, something provocative for you to chew on based on what we heard today. Given this aggressive strategy of front-loading compute and the highest talent density claim for Meta superintelligence labs, what do you think might be the very first truly novel capability, not just an improvement, but something brand new that emerges from MSL? What new AI feature or product could fundamentally change the experience for even a fraction of those 3.5 billion daily users, maybe within the next, say, 18 months? What's the first real glimpse of that personal superintelligence future going to look like?